Now, roughly 3 months after Sha'Carri Richardson's disqualification from the U.S. trials, the World Anti-Doping Agency announced Wednesday that it will instruct an advisory panel to review whether cannabis should remain on its list of prohibited substances beyond 2022. Just a reminder of viewers that WADA does not specify why marijuana or any specific substance is banned, but says it must meet 2 of these 3 criteria. It could enhance or could potentially enhance an athlete's performance. That's 1. 2, it could pose a health risk for athletes. And 3, it violates the spirit of the sport. Now, WADA did not specifically mention Richardson in its announcement, but it did note that the decision to review marijuana's place on the banned list is due to a request from a number of stakeholders. Joining us now is track and field analyst and lead writer at SportsMax.tv, Leighton Levy. Leighton, well, I heard Mariah telling you goodbye for the rest of the year yesterday, so I didn't expect to see you back on so quickly. But let me start here. What do you make of these new developments and the announcement coming from WADA today?
You could actually see it coming because the blowback from Sha'Carri Richardson's suspension, made it a situation where the stakeholders, remember that WADA has over 200 signatories, and a number of the countries, at least 28, we are told, have expressed concern about the idea that marijuana is a banned substance. Of course, you mentioned in your introduction, of course, the criteria for marijuana being up on the banned substances list. But what has happened in the years since the code was drafted with these restrictions is that the weed has been legalized in a number of territories across the globe, most notably the United States, where a number of states it's now legal to consume marijuana. And of course, in the WADA code itself, if you test positive out of competition, is perfectly fine. And of course, within competition, then there's a minimal limit, there's a maximum limit that which once you exceed that, you're guilty of a doping offense. So there are many little nuances to what is going to happen from here onwards as to how they'll find a way to work around the possibility of making the marijuana legal.
And Leighton, with Sha'Carri's situation in particular, do you feel that, exceptions should be made for people with similar situations or situations that, because she spoke about her mother's death. How did you read that?
Well, look, based on the information that I have, this is not the first time that Sha'Carri has consumed marijuana or cannabis. My information is that she's a regular user. And it's one of the reasons why she was banned, because the levels of the THC, that was found in her system exceeded the WADA code. The thing is that WADA doesn't tell you that you can't smoke weed for recreational purposes. What it does, it says that you can't smoke it and test positive in competition. So, it is what it is. The thing about it is that she has now brought it to the fore because of her popularity. And I think, because of that, I think now we're beginning to see change, or the idea that change is possible.
Yeah, Leighton, from time to time when we have these discussions, we talk to Dr. Paul Wright, who is a sports medicine specialist. And when this story came up this past summer, we spoke to him, and I didn't get the impression that he was convinced that marijuana could not be in any shape or form described as a performance enhancer, because he was suggesting that it affects people differently, and a case could be made that it can enhance performances in some people.
Yeah, I agree. And look, you remember, before the code was established and these specified substances or non-specified substances were put on the extensive list of substances that were prohibited, the research obviously had to go into each of these elements and to determine whether or not they'd end up on the list or not. But there are very good cases within the code to suggest, of course, the performance enhancing element of it has to do with the fact that it allows you to relax and to be calm and to decrease your anxiety, so to speak, that you'll be able to perform better. And of course, the other side of that is that it impacts you negatively in terms of depleting or diminishing your cognitive ability. And of course, the final one, which is against the spirit of the sport, that the idea is that as an international athlete, you're a role model and you're not supposed to be seen to be doing certain things. So there are many good reasons for the drug to remain on the prohibited substances list. The thing is that the international pressure, especially coming from the United States, is forcing a rethink. So it's going to be very interesting to see, as I said before, how if they do change anything, to see how they would navigate around those barriers that are put up, because the pressure for the United States is going to be obviously huge. Obviously, Congress has already gotten involved in it. United States is one of the major contributors to the WADA fund. So therefore, they will wield a lot of pressure. So notwithstanding the concerns of WADA, there might be change happening, but it's going to be very, very dicey to see how they work around it, because notwithstanding the pressure that might come, the reality is what the reality is as it relates to the drug.
Yeah. Another story breaking Tuesday is that the B sample of the Great Britain 4x100 meter silver medalist CJ Ujah tested positive for two banned substances, Ostarine and S23. Leighton, can you tell us about this story and what you've gleaned from it?
Well, he's in trouble, and of course, Great Britain is about to lose their medal from the Olympic Games. I mean, Ostarine and S23 are both drugs used to reduce fat and improve lean muscle mass, which means it's performance enhancing. And of course, as you know, Ujah, like Nesta Carter so many years ago, who tested positive for a stimulant. These are substances similar to steroid, to testosterone, in the properties that they have, and of course what they allow you to do. So right now, it looks pretty bad on Great Britain, who is already under pressure, the UK athletics, because their athletes are already up in arms about the management of their programs and the fact that the team only won 6 medals at the Olympics. It's piling on to an already embarrassing situation for UK athletics.
Yeah. Do you suspect that Ujah will go to CAS and try to fight this one?
Of course he's going to try to save face. He's going to go to CAS. Yes. But if what they're reporting on those substances that he tested positive for, I don't see a way in which he can explain away taking these drugs, because they're not, based on what I know, it's not something that you can consume through food or anything. There are things that you have to ingest or take directly, because I mean, S23, of course, it's as I said before, it's similar to testosterone, and of course it aids in strength gain, of course, and Ostarine lean muscle mass, which means that he probably wants to get stronger. He's a 200-meter runner and a 100-meter sprinter. He needs that power. And unless there's an extraordinary circumstance under which those substances got into his body, I think the CAS is going to uphold the ban. Just like the case with Blessing Okabara with her HGH, she's now serving a 4-year ban.
Yeah, and usually in these cases, Leighton, as we wrap, very tragic for his teammates. He didn't compete in an individual event, so his teammates will suffer, including Jean-Hill Hughes, the Anguilla-born sprinter, who you'd have covered a lot. Pretty devastating news for them, but I guess...
Absolutely. Jean-Hill Hughes needs to find a river out in St. Thomas and take a long bath, because the misfortune that he's experienced over the past few years is extraordinary.
Yes.
Disqualification at the Commonwealth Games 200-meter final, false starting in the British trials, false starting in the Olympics, and now this. You have to believe that something has to change for his fortunes to improve.
Yeah, well, I guess since he's based in Jamaica, there are some viewers who would suggest that he would go to a certain parish and get himself sorted out. So
absolutely, it's a short drive.
Leighton, thanks a lot for talking to us, man.
Take it easy, guys.
Yeah, this is the SportsMax Zone, and we still have a lot more to come. And the home of champions presenting a lot of football from Europe. The UEFA Champions League showing on Tuesday and Wednesday, and there is Europa League action coming up on Thursday. Spartak Moscow against Legia Warsaw, Galatasaray against Lazio, and Leicester City. They'll be at home to Napoli, all on SportsMax on Thursday, September the 16th. Back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.